indicating to me how long you guys have been involved in dual credit and the reason for your participation?
Yeah, for sure. Athabasca University's been participating in dual credit for a number of years. It came into my portfolio in partnerships and collaborations probably about 3-4 years ago. And the biggest piece for us is it really helps with the mission of the university around removing barriers to access. So if we have an opportunity to allow those high school students that are looking for a post-secondary experience to complement what they're doing, we want to make sure that that opportunity has a pathway for them.
Great, thank you very much. And so thinking not just of the few students we've had so far, but other students from other jurisdictions, what are the challenges that you see these kids facing?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the same challenge that all kids face as they transition from high school into what's next, right? They did the transition from middle school to high school, and that was big for them. And now they're doing their transition from high school to something, and that's going to be big for them. So in this case, it's students coming from high school to post-secondary, and there's a different kind of rigor involved. There's a different expectation involved. So those pieces can present challenges. What's been really cool with our dual credit experience is a lot of our profs recognize the dual credit students, the high school students, as being really great performers in their classes, even in the older demographic of students, because they're in that discipline, that course, because they want to be there, right? So they have that difference, that differentiator that they want to be in that class. They're taking it because they have to. So they're really able to succeed. But yeah, the biggest challenge is just the difference in the expectation as they grow on their education journey.
Okay, thanks. And you've already alluded a little bit to some of the successes, but what kind of successes are you seeing from the students?
I think that as with anything, you get out of it what you put into it. So the students that, take the time to read the study guides and apply the schedule, the suggested study schedule of the class to, their actual calendar so that they're working through the paces, then they see great success. And then, students that don't do the work don't see the same results. We're fortunate in my group that we're able to reach out and do some communication and some support with those learners that would be additional to support that they get if they were just a traditional student. But through the dual credit piece and our partnerships relationship with them, we can do a little bit more outreach with the schools as well to make sure that those students have every chance to succeed.
I'm hoping to solidify my choice into what I want to pursue in post-secondary after I finish high school, to make sure that this is the route that I want to take, at least for now, and to get me a little bit more prepared for my university next year so that I don't go to university full-time and all of a sudden it's just overwhelming and there's so much new stuff. This will have me a little bit more adjusted to the process for next year.
Well, I found that attending the live classes helped a lot too. Like, it helped absorb the information and also just retain it as well before our 3 tests and stuff. And I found that in the beginning when I was able to write stuff down without it being too troubling, I was able to look over it.
The part that I've chosen specifically what course I'm doing, and it's something that interests me a lot, and that I can do it on my own time. So it doesn't matter whether I'm doing it at school or at home or at work or anything like that. I can work on stuff like that. So I think that it's definitely a very flexible format, and that's what I've enjoyed about it.
I found that I struggled a bit with the length of the modules as they got on longer and longer, especially since I was writing them down, but I stopped that after a bit. And I would also say my internet too, because it's kind of hard to do it without internet.
Time constraints are definitely an issue because when you're still trying to finish your regular high school courses and do that on top of it, there's definitely a fairly heavy workload. And another challenge, of course, is just that you don't have any face-to-face interaction with your actual teachers, so the virtual format can be challenging, but they obviously, University of Athabasca, they do their best to really make the format applicable to everybody. and they're to make it more accessible for everybody, because obviously they've been doing online courses since long before COVID, so they're definitely more adjusted to it. So for the most part, it's a fairly seamless transition to doing it online.
Would you recommend this to somebody in the future? And if so, what advice would you give them if they decided to go ahead and try it?
I would definitely recommend this to somebody. I don't think it's for everybody, because obviously the challenges, the virtual format maybe isn't ideal for everybody's learning types. But I think that I would recommend it to anybody who wants to get ahead, who has a pretty good idea of what they want to do next year and want to just solidify those choices like I mentioned earlier. And I would recommend that anybody that does do this program make sure that they have lots of time ahead of them and that they have multiple resources for help within their school, and not just from the course itself from Athabasca.
I definitely say I would. It's a really great way to learn ASL in the future and stuff, and just to get in beginning, You learn the entire ASL alphabet, you learn numbers 1 to 66, and you learn concepts and stuff as well.
Parkland School Division, where the world opens up.